Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new Let's Play of Europa Universalis IV with MEIOU and Taxes and me, Alpha and boy do I have a treat for you today. We have all been waiting for the new version of MEIOU and Taxes, the 3.0, and I am happy to say that I have been included in the alpha test of the 3.0 and I have been given permission to show you what the game is like. Now, fair warning, this is Alpha 20. There's a lot of things that might change. There's a lot of things that might not work exactly. There might be some bugs. So I don't even know how long this playthrough will be. But it's gonna be awesome because I already checked the game and they changed so much. It's pretty much a completely new, better mod. So for this playthrough, we are going to play Novgorod. The reason for that is that politically, Novgorod is very interesting. It's a trade republic located at the edge of Europe, the northeast of Europe. And it has a number of strong neighbors around it. It has Sweden, which is currently fractured between Sweden and Sverige. It has Lithuania, and it has Muscovy and its vassals and tributaries. There's also Great Perm, Pskov, there's the Livonian Order and the Teutonic Order. There's an alliance going on there. But we're mostly focused on these big ones. And I'm hoping that I can make friends with Lithuania and Sweden, which could protect me against Muscovite incursions. Or we will incur ourselves on Muscovy when their relations with White Horde fall apart. Muscovy is actually a vassal of White Horde itself, so there's kind of a hierarchy going on, very much as it was in real world. So I'm gonna start the game. We're gonna go a bit about our plans for the future depending on what kind of ruler we're gonna get, and when we're done with that I'm gonna delve into the mechanics. As usual, this episode is gonna be longer. It's gonna be going over the basics and the long-term strategy, and from episode 2 we are actually going to be playing. So I'll see you in the game. Welcome to the Republics of Novgorod, 1356. Europe is on the verge of Age of Discovery. However, for us, the Russian states are barely starting to feel free of the Tatar yoke, as the Golden Horde continues to fracture ever since its crushing defeat at the hands of Timur. It has, fractioned into White Horde and Blue Horde right now. We can't even see the Blue Horde. As far as religion goes, we are of the Orthodox faith, which gives us the following modifiers: stability increase interval lowered by 10%, missionary strength increased by 1%, oh I did not expect that, hero prestige increased by 0.5, tolerance of the true faith increased by 1, heretics tolerance lowered by 1, yearly devotion increased by 1, legitimacy increased by 0.5 yearly clan unity increased by 0.25, and republican tradition, which is important for us, increased by 0.25. We are under the Patriarch authority, consecrating metropolitan areas, and we have the ability to commission icons. I actually don't know if that's true, because the religion is one of the things that they're working on right now. As far as government goes, we are a trade republic. We have elections, usually every 4 years. I think that goes for us as well. We gather republican tradition. We can re-elect the same guy over and over, but it will hurt us and we might descend into a dictatorship. We can build trade posts, we can start trade leagues, and we have factions, and we have the estates. An environment that does not really concern us. Now, this is a wall of text about MEIOU and Taxes 3.0, Path to Modernity. And we're gonna start the game. Now, honestly, as I said before, even if you're a veteran of the 2.52 as much as I am, you probably saw my free Let's Plays already, this game is something completely different. Let's start by speaking a bit about our plans. Now I'm gonna check what our ruler is like. He's calm, okay, suits us. He's not bad. Knyaz Onsifor Lukinich. He has decent administration and military skill. Not a great diplomatic skill. Here's 47. So we're just gonna be calm and look within ourselves. Now, I'm gonna wait until Sweden decides whether it wants to be Sweden or Sverige and then turn into Sweden again. But I'm gonna start improving relations with Lithuania immediately because, yeah, they won't offer me alliance. I actually don't think we can have an alliance with anyone, can we? Yeah, nobody really likes us. What's the relations like? Yeah, they're mostly... Oh, and Great Perm hates us. Okay, that's good to know. We are probably a historical rival. Yeah, okay. So let's start improving relations with Lithuania right off the bat. We're gonna try to make them our ally. It would be kind of cool to have them on our side together with Sweden. And I think Muscovy also does not like us. Yes, they're hostile, so we'll need to improve relations with them immediately. As we're a trade republic, we have 4 merchants. I actually expect us to have... Yes, we have half-finished trade ideas and we get the administrative ideas done. Okay, so let's look into the trade. We are going to... Oh, we're split between 2 trade nodes. Okay, so we're gonna collect from trade here, and we're gonna transfer from here. So what? That's Baltic Sea and Rusland. Okay. Ruthenia actually works in our favor, so let's transfer trade power from there. And you are sending here. Okay, so let's transfer here. So all of our merchants are at work. That's good. I always forget about that, so it's good to get that out of the way. And our diplomats are also busy with work. So we have 2 regiments, 2 units of hospites and 1 of Druzhina cavalry. Let's look at the military. I know I'm jumping a bit about, but there's a lot that I want to talk about, so I want to get the easy things that you guys might be familiar with out of the table first. So hospites. Many Western Balkan states imported officers and equipment from Italy and Germany, creating units of heavily armored foot soldiers wearing halberds, coifs, greaves, and gauntlets who fought in the Western style. Okay. Oh, they actually have quite a lot of shock. It's interesting. And Druzhina cavalry. Cavalry units equipped with battle axes that made up the core of many Eastern European armies. In peacetime, the Druzhinas would most often serve as bodyguards or handle extraction of tribute. Okay, and we got a navy. A seafaring Koch. Okay, that we don't need that. Can we get a ship? Oh, okay, we can just get galleys, so that's not good. Okay, we need 2 more levels in the depot technology. Okay, so what about religion? We can check that. Church influence is at 0. And looking at church... Okay, so parts of our nation are not Orthodox. Pinega, Viatka, and Pechora are not. So let's start with you. We're gonna can do it through here. That's gonna be faster. Pinega, convert. That's gonna be quite fast. And Viatka, convert. Okay. So, we have 3 policies available. Not much has changed. We're gonna centralize the state. We are going to mediate internal disputes. And we are going to... Sure, let's aggressively police. That's not bad. And let's look at our rivals. Okay, we can rival Great Perm. I like that. And we can rival Norway. Okay. Isn't Norway a kingdom? I'd rather rival... Yeah, I'd rather rival trade republics, but we'll see. Great Perm is not... Yeah, it's a principality, so that's that. Now, okay, we are getting into things that have changed. I'm gonna start by technology, because that is something that's important for us. Now you see that there is a whole lot of institutions, more than there were, but much less than I actually expected there to be. Now these institutions now work a bit different than you were used to before. Instead of giving, though they give a hefty bonus, maximum centralization 15, we get, okay, we're getting that. They give huge penalties at the moment when they are spawned to technology. And that is used to control the outcome of the world. Now, nations that have high development can spawn these and basically slow down technology for everyone else. So we'll have to deal with that. They're also linked to time. So you can see here that the legalism that we don't have now gives us 400% penalty to technology, which is insane. So let's embrace it. And now you see that things are much, much better for us. Now, legalism itself is the starting institution. The next one will be meritocracy, which actually exists in the Ottoman Empire. Okay. And there's also commercialization. Casual literacy is not here. Okay, so these two will need to... Actually, we are getting commercialization in our own territory. Good. It's going to lower the interest, increase our global trade power, and lower technology costs by 100%. That's actually really important. It would cost us quite a lot to embrace it now. Now, that's the first thing that's going to change in this, technology, the way it works and the way it spreads. So that's going to have to... it's basically a hunt for institutions now, and that's going to be a bit different. On the other hand, it's going to make it a bit more dynamic and a bit more interesting, or so everybody hopes. Now, second thing that changed is the population. The population now is way more complex, way more automated, and working at a very different level. Now, I don't know exactly every detail, and we're going to have to figure it out during the course of this playthrough, but I'm going to demonstrate it on Veliki Novgorod. Now, there is now more population types than there were before. You have now peasantry, basically serfs. You have residents, those are people that are in the cities. You have nobles, burghers, and clergy. And there are some others that you can get, like nomads and stuff like that. You can see that each of these population types have its own natural change, its own freedom, literacy, its life, comfort, luxury ratings. And they have migration and natural changes. So each of these populations have their own set of demands that are filled by the completely dynamic trade system. Now, each of the provinces that we have produces something. Like Veliki Novgorod produces wheat, pasture, rock and salt, timber, game, cottage industry. Its city produces houseware, textile, processed materials, and ship material. And the elites produce religious education, higher education, and commerce. Other places will produce other stuff, for example, spices, and I'm pretty sure that we might see incense and stuff like that in Egypt. Let's check here what they produce. Yeah, see, cash crop, plant fibers, houseware, that's the same. They have fishing because they are a coastal province. What about you? What do you provide? Timber, So there are many types of materials, and each province also has its own demand due to the buildings that are there and the population that are there. So we require food, salt, fibers, fuel, and you can see how each of this is produced locally or imported. So quite a lot of things are going in the background. It's awesome how they managed to do it well. And you can imagine things now like, say Novgorod will turn to Russia and we will become the food producer of Europe. And there comes a huge war with Ottoman Empire that we lose and we get plundered. Now suddenly famine across the entirety of Europe is a possibility that's not that hard to imagine. Or there will be lack of timber because a lot of ships will be there. There will be new trade with the spices and sugar, things like that. So I'm really looking forward to see how this will affect the game. Now they also completely rebuilt or revamped the building system. There are no longer basic buildings, but instead there are infrastructures. So you have the capital infrastructure, which, as you can see here, improves our communication efficiency. It improves the travel time, and it reduces the time to arrive at this province, from the capital. So this is basically just communication efficiency. If we improved it to level 1, we would get 8% increase, lowered the travel time from capital modifier by 17%, and base communication efficiency increased by 4.17%. Then there's amenities, which provide urban housing. Currently, 80,000 people can live in our capital, and if we improve this, it would jump up to 200,000. Now there's garrison, which increases the fort level, and local unrest is lowered. Hostile movement speed is lowered. There's irrigation that improves the crop and fiber productivity. There's harborage, which improves the communication efficiency, fleet limit per burghers, per residents, provides naval force limit, and local shipbuilding time and local ship repair. We're not really a coastal province, so I can only hope. Izhora has some harborage. Where was that other ship located? Here somewhere? Wait, this is uncolonized land. Oh, it had to be here somewhere? Yeah, there's harborage free, so we have a port here in Zavolochie, probably. So that's basically your ship, your port, basically. But you can build it inland as well to improve other stuff. And then there's state academic maintenance, commercial maintenance, pathing. There's agricultural and forestry maintenance and fishery maintenance, which is further subsidizing of the industry. So it is a bit more complex, and you basically don't build certain things like city halls, but you subsidize the entire region. And of course, as before, the estates can do this for you. If you are in peace, you have a lot of cash, and people enjoy your nation. Now, as I mentioned before, you have migration as well, so you can see that about 293 people migrate to our capital, while 48 leave. And I think that when we look to the east, the numbers will be different. Yeah, nobody migrates to the east, but 419 people actually leave here every year, which is a problem because the natural change is also at a negative. So our eastern provinces, no wonder though, are basically losing people unless we develop them somehow. People will move to better places like our capital. So that's the major change to the population and trade. Now, with this, hand in hand comes the estates. Oh, they haven't fired yet, but I think you can see them here somewhere. Yeah, here are the elites. You have 4 types now: nobles, burghers, clergy, bureaucrats, and I think there might be some more, like clans, maybe? Yeah, elites, for example, here are clans. So you now deal with more estates, and you have to be a bit more careful because they are way more powerful. The entirety of the map has also been changed in a way that's kind of interesting. I'm going to try to show you on Veliki Novgorod. You have a terrain modifier on each of the provinces, which gives you total land available in that province, soil quality and an average temperature, and forested land. and a natural deposit. This is actually linked to the economy. Bigger provinces that are well developed will produce way more crops. Gonna try to find, our northern provinces are probably not good for this, but let's look at what about the Hungarian province? Those are fairly small too. Like for example the province of Minsk, that one should be bigger. Yeah, that one's about twice the size, but the soil quality is not that good. So our province is actually more useful. What about this one? Yeah, about the same size, but very high soil quality. I'm pretty sure that the Arctic tundra, even though it's really big, won't provide much arable land. Yeah, total land 55, soil quality 55. So you can see that this province, even though it's bigger on paper, is way less useful than our capital. So again, more strategy can now go into this, and more strategy can be, put into practice. Now, with the nation estates came a change to the advisors. They now basically give you the they increase the influence of their home or patron estate, I would say. So, for example, Mikhail Shestov here will increase the aristocratic influence, but it costs very low amount of money. Same with the other advisors that we have here. I'm gonna wait a bit before I hire them. I want to see that we have money to support them. Now let's look a bit more deeper into the changes to the game mechanic. Okay, we should have enough money. I'm gonna mothball the forts. We have two, right? Yeah, we have one at the border with Sweden and one down here in our capital. Okay, we need more forts. We'll have to look into that. Forts are actually the only buildings that you build as they are. Oh, okay, we would need to increase the... Which one is it? The garrison. We would need to increase the garrison here so that we can build a fort. But Vyatka, for example, would be a good border province. And I think Torzhok too. We'll have to see. We've dealt with trade. We've dealt with technologies. Let's look at our ideas. So we finished the administrative ideas. They give us lowered fort maintenance by 10%. Restrained abuses, yearly inflation reduction by 0.05, that's good. Harsh treatment cost lowered. Counseled actions, advisor cost lowered by 20%. Extra advisors available, that's good. Stability increase interval lowered by 10%. Delegation, vested interest, yearly corruption lowered by 0.25, that's really good. And permanent networks, provincial corruption from autonomy lowered by 10%, and envoy travel time decreased by 33%. And we also lower monthly autonomy by 0.05, so that's actually really good. Okay, and the trade ideas that we have gives us merchants from trade centers plus 50%. Okay, and trade range increased by 10%. Ship trade power increased. Provincial trade power modifier increased, all by 10%. Commerce production inefficiency lowered by 10%. Import and export is the next one. Trade steering plus 5% and ship trade power propagation by 5%. Okay. Then caravan power, merchant trade power, and global trade power. Okay, so we need to finish the trade ideas really soon. And let's look at the legacy of Ruskia, our national ideas. A plain of rivers. Long have our people lived these lands, spreading far and wide from the fertile west, utilizing the winding rivers that connect our people to settle new lands across the European plain. Rivers have long defined us and always will. So harborage infrastructure cost is lowered by 10%, that's good, and farmland cost is lowered by 5%. Our fort defense lowered by 10%. Okay, Rus. We don't know where they came from, but it was the Varangians who created the realm of Kiev and Rus, uniting our many tribes into the Rus. Even in division, its influence remains strong. For all we know what was and what can be once more. For we all know what was and what can be once more. Idea cost lowered by 5%. Eternal baptism. It was Vladimir the Great who led our people to salvation, uniting our people with the Church of Constantinople and influencing our culture with new ideas from the West. Since this day, we have found ourselves a bastion of the true Church in the East, a second center of Orthodox Christianity. Spirituality concern increased by 25%, missionary strength increased by 2%. Oh wow, we're really good. And tolerance of the true faith increased by 1. Damn, we got quite a lot of tolerance already. Let's continue. We have left here. Rich culture. We are isolated yet connected, a duality that defines our culture. We share affinity with many peoples to the West through language and religion. Our architecture, our literature and beliefs are influenced heavily by the Romaioi, along with many long-forgotten cultures. Yet we are Ruskie, proud and strong. Our art, our writing and our way of life are our own, developing in relative isolation with new insights and achievements. So culture conversion resistance lowered by 30% and global institution spread increased by 10%. Good. The fur trade. Long have our merchants been the crucial link between the East and the West. Trade flows across the plains, traveling by barge and caravan, carrying many notable goods. None, however, as notable as our furs, an exotic good priced by those beyond. We know this and we exploit it. Exotics output plus 10%, merchant gain from trade centers plus 30%, and trade range increased by 50%. Wow! Eastern frontier. We are not at the edge of the world, for we know what lies beyond. Long have we defended against the endless tide of nomadic people. We are the frontier, a bastion of Christianity, the last line of settled civilization before the lawless wastes of the East. We must be vigilant, gather strength so that we may end this threat once and for all. So national manpower modifier plus 10%, reinforced cost lowered by 10%, war score cost on other religions lowered by 15%. Wow. And a Mongol yoke. When Kiev burned at the hand of the Mongols, the land of the Rus collapsed into disunity and division. The Mongols have imposed themselves upon us, extracting tribute from almost all princes that emerged from turmoil. In defeat we have been humbled, learning to embrace the best of our conquerors, rebuilding in preparation for the inevitable. One day we will lift the Mongol yoke, end our subjugation and free our people once more. Ruler authority increased by 10, institutional authority lowered by 10, and administrative efficiency increased by 5%. Awesome. Now let's look at the missions. Okay, liberate Alexander. We have quite a lot. Oh, re-establish the Patriarch of Antioch. Conquer Kasr, Ibrahim, liberate Cairo. I don't know why we have these, but we have eastward expansion. Have dedicated effort across the Ural, fortify Tobolsk, down the Alp, traveling Siberia, fortify Irkutsk, and from sea to ocean. Okay, and we have the colonial ideas here, plus Gates of Manchuria, Kamchatka fur, and others. Okay, so mostly trade and expansion. The colonization will be something that we're really gonna have to delve into, because that's how Russia did. Religion we already looked into. Now the missions and stuff. This is actually gonna take a bit to explain. I'm gonna go through this as we go, but first I'm gonna start the game and let it recalculate what it needs to. So let's start. And it's gonna be okay. Faction takeover. Aristocrats have gained a dominant position in our country. Monthly autonomy changed by 0.05. Okay, that's not exactly great. And the Great Perm is no longer a valid rival from Novgorod, nor is Norway. Really? Let's look into that. Did you change that? Okay, now it wants Great Perm again, and Pskov. But we have good relations with Pskov, don't we? Oh, we actually have an alliance with Pskov. Okay, I didn't know that. So these guys are our friends. How would they look onto vassalization? Well, they wouldn't be against it. But the relations are poor. Actually, did they remove that 190? Yeah, it's now 180. Okay, they lowered it. So did it? Yes, we now have all the estates already. So we got bureaucrats, which are basically our state. So we have 4% influence. We have the burghers who are 37. That's actually pretty nice having a burgher country. We have clans which have 6%, clergy have 45%, and nobles have 65%. Now I'm going to show you what we can track regarding these guys. We're going to look at clans later on, just as because they're not very necessary. So we have the nobility here. You can see that they have 65.48% power. They're fairly loyal, but their loyalty seems to be falling slightly. They have quite a lot of wealth. They own 30.16% of the land, and they share 9.54% of the property in Novgorod. The clergy has about half of their power. They're slightly less loyal, but they get, well, quite a lot of money. They're making about half of what the nobility have, though. They own about half the land, but own about 3 times more property. And the burghers have slightly more power than the clergy, but way less power than the nobility. They're very loyal, and they own, wow, they have the most wealth of all, though the nobility seems to be making more money. Share of land is only 4.66%, but they got even more property than the clergy. So it's interesting. Nobility owns most of the land, but not as much as the other factions. And let's look at the clans. They got a bit of power. They're fairly loyal. They have a lot of wealth, but, you know, not much. Not much. Now, the entirety of the game has been changed in how it interacts with the various estates in your realm. You no longer get very good... wait, I'd better show it on the nobles. You no longer get such an easy route into revoking privileges. They now give you huge hits. So for example, if I wanted to revoke processing monopoly that the nobles have, it would lower the noble gravity by 1%, and it would lower a bit of the peasantry dues that they pay to the nobles. However, we lose for just this one 35 noble loyalty and further relations with the aristocrats and the state. And it also cost us quite a lot in our power, both, or all of them, military, diplomatic, and the last one, administrative. So it's way harder now to curtail your nations, and that's exactly what this game has become. It is the path to modernity. Your main goal is to curtail all of your estates and hand the power to the bureaucrats, which means to the state. And doing it will strengthen you. However, doing that will also be super hard. So what we can do here right now is we can conduct a census on our population and look at... wait. Or maybe we can't. Huh, that's weird. I guess not all the data has yet been processed, so let's give it a bit of a time. Because it will show us the... Oh, okay, so here we go. This is another new thing in the 3.0. So, previously, you used your power to rule the nation, to invest it into technology, to declare wars, you know, incorporate various vassals and stuff like that. Now your power, be it administrative, diplomatic, and military, is still used for technology, but there's also a different usage. I'm going to read this and I'm going to explain what it means. The task of designing a tax code is a complicated matter, requiring great investment of time and energy. Thankfully, this task isn't entirely left to us. We can assign our advisors to work on allocating resources across the realm to provincial taxation efforts and provide clear and simple instruction on everything from the scope of taxation, the frequency, and the amount of resources we're willing to allocate. This event can be triggered from the decision menu using the decision delegate tax code. Now, what this means is each of the provinces have certain settings. They have certain taxes, charter fees, there's noble levies, there's citizen surveys, land tax, and stuff like that. Your manpower, your treasure, your naval materials, your stability, everything that you have comes from taxation of the provinces, which is in turn, based on the modifiers. However, the efficiency at which you tax your nation can vary, and you decide on that by assigning a certain pool every year into these. So if I say leave it as it is, the game will try to fit as much as it can into 12 administrative, 12 diplomatic, and 12 military power in the taxation. I can increase it, however, which I will. I'm going to increase it to 20 because we need as efficient nation as possible. And we have, we're a republic, so we are going to deal with this in a nice manner. And we are going to let the game use up this pool every year. So we're gonna let this redelegation be automatic. You can switch it to manual, but then it's up to you to decide what will be taxed where and how. And we're gonna delegate it. So the game at certain point will change the amounts of taxes. It also, there's a really neat script running behind the game that will decide for you which is the most effective way. And by this way the developers put this, the script will do it better than 99% of the players. And we lost more. Okay, we're gonna rival Genoa, that's definitely a good thing. I really don't want to rival you guys. Sweden, Sverige. I want you as my friends. Same with Lithuania. So let's just have two rivals. Okay, our relations with Lithuania are looking better. So we'll see what that does. I think that the little freeze there was the redelegation of the taxes. You can do it manually, you can change stuff here if you want to manual it, but it's actually not as efficient as the game will make it for you. And especially now when I'm not that good in the game and I'm starting. Here it is, a burden of taxation. So this is the event. The complex task of extracting resources from the realm is one of the great costs for our central government. High taxation levels cost disproportionately more administrative, diplomacy, and military power to uphold. So there's probably be a quadratic increase or something like that. For twice as much you get about half as much and stuff like that. For twice as much you get half, one half more. That's what I wanted to say. High taxation levels cause disproportionately more administrative, diplomacy, and military power to uphold, while simple economics of scale in a larger realm can leave our efforts more scattered and constrained. So the bigger your realm, the less effective you are at collecting, which is, how most of the nations work. The values listed within the options below have been extracted in a yearly lump sum from our saved pool to support provincial taxation. Generally, an allocation of around 10 to 15 power for each category is considered average taxation, with levels above or below this amount exchanging more or less power for varying level of resources. Revenues generated from each tax type can be seen in the bureaucracy estate or through cycling a given province provincial administration modifier. Additionally, this event can be hidden away in the decision menu. So you can see that we allocated 20 to each, and the game did not use all of it. It used just 14.13 14.394 in the military, 13.57 in Diplo, but it used quite a lot in the administrative, 18.49. So it might be wise to check if we can delegate more administrative power. These were used on land tax and rent dues. Diplomatic power was used on noble dues, noble levies, charter fees, citizen service and tributes, and military power was used on levies, tribal hosts, and volunteers. Cool. So let's see what it did. Yeah, we're getting way more tax now, 3.85 every month, which is good. And we can now have 4 units. Okay, so I'm gonna raise another unit of hospice. Check it out. They cost only 1 now because they are taken from the manpower pool, which is itself a taxation on your people, and your nation and your how would I call it? Your nobles are actually the ones that are giving you these people. On the other hand, you can't really call the nobles or estates during war and ask them for support because they're already giving you that via these taxation events. Okay, Pskov has no army, that's just great to know. Now Lithuania is starting to like us, that's good to see. Could we maybe... Yeah, we have no diplomats to send, but hey, relations are improving, that's kinda good. And with this done, I think I'm gonna hire the advisors. Now, who has the most influence? Burghers don't have much, and nobles have quite a lot of influence. So let's try to avoid aristocrats. Okay, but we can't here actually. So, okay, bureaucratic influence is the one that we actually want to have. This one is kicking for the clergy. We'll have to pay more attention to that later on, but for now this is fine. This is fine. Now, would they conduct census work now? It wouldn't. Wait, I have one more idea about this. Let's see if it will load it now. Oh, okay, it works now. There's a way now that you mark the provinces that you are interested in, so I did it for all of our provinces. So we have 620,000 tenants living in our nation. They grow by 3,266 per year, and there is inward and outward movement. I don't know what that means. And fighting age men, 61,587. We have some nomads, 53,000 of them, and they're shrinking. That's good. We have 71.3 residents. That does not seem right. Maybe there was 71,000 residents. That would make sense. Yeah, it's probably 71,300. They're growing slowly, very slowly, so we need more cities. Nobles, we have 19,000. Burghers, we have 1,622. And clergy, there's about 5,500 of them. All of them are growing. And we're back to tenants. So I guess this is peasants and the wealth. Okay, now you can see these numbers don't tell me much at this point, so we'll have to look into those later on. What about the industry? Yes, this is another thing, and this is going to be the last thing that we're going to do in this episode. I'm going to jump forward in time to more interesting things. So industry. We produce not enough food for ourselves. That's important to note. We have to import food. We produce more salt than we need. We produce slightly more fiber than we need. We produce way less fuel than we need, way less raw materials. We produce more exotic goods than we need, that's good. Way less consumer goods than we need. We have way less military stuff, a bit more naval, way less industrial, way less luxury. And knowledge is also lacking, but we produce quite a lot of commerce. So, okay, so that's the state of Novgorod in the year 1357. I hope these explanations were interesting for you guys. I'm sorry if something is unclear. Please ask, go ahead. And next episode we are going to start playing, because that's what we are here for, right? But, you know, without this introduction, it took me quite some time to figure everything out. There's a lot of things that I still don't know. So I'll see you in the next episode where we start the game itself. So thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time with more Let's Play EU for MEIOU and Taxes 3.0 Novgorod.